My name's Meg Tilly and I play Lorna Corbett. It's nice. I miss her like an old friend, and so it's nice to visit back and to see everybody, the crew and the cast is really warm feeling in the heart. We're shooting at Helen's house, and Gladys and I have come, and Gladys has asked for my help with this situation, and it's kind of dangerous. It's a little scary. Gladys wants me to get the door open, but then Lorna, being Lorna, feels the need to say something more, and which lets Helen know that she knows that it's more serious than just a pie, which it would have been anyway when Gladys came in. So she pulls a gun, and then Gladys pulls a gun on her. Very different from Bomb Girls. I mean, of course, we've been working with ammunition and stuff, but I don't think we've had guns pulled before. Season 1 and what happened with the baby and Mark changed her opinion about everything, and not so quick to fire people and not so quick to call things black and white. She's changed enormously. More compassion, more understanding, less judgment, less needing things to be a certain way. She's still flawed, we all are, but she's changed enormously. I hope for everything for Lorna, you know, and that when the factories close, that she doesn't get too much into the dark years, which she probably could, but hopefully she'll have her sons and her grandchildren to keep her busy, but that'll be a difficult transition for her. Bomb Girls has the best fans in the world. I've done a lot of projects, and maybe it's because there's the internet and so you're aware of it, but they rallied like crazy, and they had this whole scheme where they sent letters and petitions, and then like bandanas, and then they did ID tags from the box, and still now, like, bless their hearts, they're writing to all the different networks and saying you have to do it because it's like a Canadian show they can be proud of, and everybody has different characters that talk to them. People really have taken them into their hearts in such a big way. It really is moving. It's very humbling, and I wish I could give them the happy ever after ending, but at least we did like 2 really good years, you know. I want to tell you something.
That was for me. Is that for you? Great. Thanks. Right.
There. Can't stay long. I just, I want to tell you something. I know what you're up to. You killed Ivan and Vera and all those soldiers lost at sea.
What, 91, take 2?
Yeah.
All for Mark?
Yep, I'll mark.
Set.
Right.
Action.
Mrs. Corbett, what a surprise.
I came to offer my condolences. See how you're doing. I brought you an apple pie. I doubled up on the cinnamon. It adds more flavor, it gives it a bit of kick. It's my secret, don't tell anyone. There we go. I can't stay long, I just, I want to tell you something. I know what you're up to. You killed Ivan and Vera and all those soldiers lost at sea.
You shouldn't have said that. Why not? It's the truth. Where are your manners, Helen? Aren't you going to offer us some apple pie?
Cut.
Cutting.
One more.
We'll go again.
I am Jodie Belfort, and I play Gladys with him. Day 1 felt surreal and wonderful all at the same time. We've kind of known about the film happening for a few months now, so it's been highly anticipated, mostly because, you know, it's just fun to come back and work with everyone again and get a really unique opportunity, as far as I understand. Like, a lot of shows get cancelled, but not many people get to come back together and have like another hurrah. I was really excited. I love Gladys. I love playing this character, so it's been really special. Gladys, in the beginning of the movie, 6 months after training, so she's been at the farm, we call it, which is essentially based on Camp X, which was a intelligence training ground just outside of Toronto. She's been there for 6 months under the tutorship of Clifford Perry, and so she's been, you know, learning the ropes. But shortly after the film begins, he's shot and killed, kind of as part of this sabotage that's happening amongst the military intelligence programs. And I think it just brings Gladys's world to a stop, it's a standstill. Nothing's make-believe anymore. No more pretending, you know, this is real. And it's the age-old thing of redemption and justice. She sets off on a justice-seeking mission. Today we are shooting a couple scenes with Gladys, Lorna, and Helen Buczynski. Helen's a new character in the film, played by Catherine Berube, and it's the big climax of the spy story. It's a big interrogation scene, the big reveal of who's to blame, who the baddies are. I now shoot a gun, and quite proficiently at that. So there is, at least for the first chunk of the film, you see a pistol and a revolver in my hand at different points. It was kind of exciting. I don't know, I shot off a few rounds of blanks, but they have the same kind of impact that a real live bullet would have, and the kickback wasn't quite as strong as I thought, but oh my God, the adrenaline rush it sends through your body is unreal. My heart rate was double the speed it was before I had the gun in my hand. It's kind of nutty. I don't think we've ever seen Gladys quite like this before. She's really all those things that she's been fighting for in season 1 and season 2, a sense of independence, a sense of really doing something greater than herself. All those things she asked for have now come to fruition, and it's really about, well, you asked for it, now how are you going to deal with it? And here's the reality, what now? We get to watch Gladys kind of come of age, if you will. Moving away from her hoity-toity past, her social elitism, her kind of wafty existence, which felt for her incredibly purposeless. We've spun that on its head. Now her life is full of purpose, full of meaning attributed to something that's larger than herself. My hope for Gladys is that she finds some balance, I think, because everything's always very extreme. I think, you know, as a character, as a human, she operates or is defined by quite a profound sense of loneliness, just from where she's come from. And we've been able to watch her throughout season 1, season 2, and now this film try and fill that loneliness. And in season 1, it was with a new job and breaking free from her parents. And in season 2, it was often about like romance and distracting herself from that loneliness. And now in this film, I think it's a lot about, you know, well, I don't have to think about myself and my own sadness if I focus on the war and focus on the world. And I just love for her, not for entertainment's sake, because it's probably not very entertaining, but, you know, to find peace with that like emptiness inside of her, which follows her wherever she goes, I think. I think the fans have been tremendous. Like, I have never experienced something like this before. Just the devotion and the determination with which they have carried the torch, kind of both during the show and since its cancellation, has been really, really incredible. Our fans love fiercely. It's amazing. It's been really, really heartwarming and not necessarily surprising, because I think the show is so unique and so special and so relevant that I fully understand why people connect to it so much. But the passion with which our fans have rallied support for us is really, really incredible. Yeah.
A little higher with the mic. There you go. Set.
And whenever you're ready to go.
Philip Davis is in custody and he's singing like a songbird.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just a grieving widow.
I have it on record from Ivan. He told me that your marriage was his. I have it on record from Ivan. He told me that your marriage was your idea and nothing but a cover. We loved each other. Our operatives have had you under surveillance for months. We know that you're a Nazi sympathizer.
And you're being seduced by a Jew. You're wasting your time and your breath. I don't know anything.
2 hours ago, in Kingston, your father was arrested.
My father?
For that train crash.
2 or 3. I can't remember.
It's very clever to leave just enough solution in the tank to pass the install and the testing.
I was just following orders.
Did you kill Clifford Perry?
Did Davis say that? Oh, he's a liar. He's the mastermind. He runs a pro-fascist ring across the country, been at it for years. He's the one who suggested I marry Ivan.
Nice.
Be camera reloads.
My name is Allie Liebert, and I play Betty McCrae. So at the end of season 2, we leave Betty confessing to being a part of Vernon's demise, and when we meet her again in Bomb Girls the movie, she has been out of prison for a few months and has been making money boxing. Women were not legally allowed to box, so Betty even being a part of this is, I don't think, helps her self-esteem in any way, and especially since she is being more or less hired to lose. I think she's been through a lot of trauma. It's not been an easy time for her. Betty's so prideful. I think she's convinced herself that this illegal boxing is a good idea, and her friends, you know, Gladys and Kate and Marco, they help her, you know, bring her back into Victory Munitions and be a part of the good fight instead of doing something shady. You know, it's just her isolation and her stubbornness that is, you know, pushed her away, and I think she's also very embarrassed to come back knowing that everyone thinks she's a, you know, a murderous lesbian, basically. Well, Betty's life goal and her dream that becomes realized in this movie is to be a homeowner. She will feel like an estimable citizen of the world and feel safe, and that no one could take this home away from her, because she has been searching for a home. And Betty's sexuality has been a major plot point for a lot of the series, and I think that fans will be happy to see that Betty has landed in a place within herself where she's feeling even a tiny bit more comfortable. I think that people love Bomb Girls because it's an original story where we see not one, but several fascinating, complex, layered women. The characters and the stories are entirely relatable. Even though it's 2013 and we're looking at the 40s, the wants and needs and hopes and dreams of these characters are so similar, so it feels like a timeless story, and it was a pleasure to be a part of. This happened. This isn't a fictional story. It's real, and it's part of our history, and I definitely think that that's a really important part of why people love the show. They can feel proud of this movement. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I know. It's stupid. It's great. Take a look at this. My dream home.
Got it, Dino? Put it down. Okay, so stand by. Here comes a brochure, and give her the brochure. Tell you what, give her the brochure again and hold it for the beat before you open it. I'll tell you
Bend
what.
over.
All the way. Hold that. Don't move. You got it, Dino?
Yes.
Okay, give it back. We'll do one more time.
My name is Charlotte Hegley, and I play Kate in the Bomb Girls movie. It being my first day back on set, I feel so enthusiastic and excited and happy, and I feel like everyone on set, there's a sense of joy, but then also calm. Like people are kind of just happy to be back one more time, and we all seem a little bit more relaxed in our characters and working in the team. At the beginning of the film, there's this tone where we don't really know really where the war is at this point. Like some people think that we're winning the war, and then other people, you know, don't believe that. They think so. We were in this midst of, I don't know, like disagreement and secrets, and trying to figure out if what we hear on the radio is true. We meet a new character named Helen, and she's Ivan's wife, and Kate doesn't know that Ivan got married between the last time she saw him, which was at the end of the second season, and now. And Helen's quite snooty and very abrasive and but a very strong character, so it's really exciting that the writers have now brought in another really strong female character. The theme with this movie that Jerry, our director, was trying to instill in all of us was that there are all these secrets and lies and layers to everyone, that everyone has a secret that they're holding. So Kate's secret is that she, you know, still longs for that relationship and that life that could have happened with Ivan, but she also has to come to terms with the fact that it's never going to happen and seem like it's okay, but she knows really it's kind of eating her.
Excellent.
The last form of communication between Betty and Kate, between the last season and this movie, is that note that Betty wrote for Kate to get, which was, "You're safe here now," and that's it. And then when Kate sees Betty for the first time in the film, again, it's sort of this awkward, like, where are we with each other? And then they start being friends again, which I'm really happy about. It's going to be a very tender moment for everyone who's watching. As a viewer of the show, I really fell in love with Kate and Betty's relationship, as I know a lot of our fans did as well. I can't even imagine what would happen to her after the war's over, you know? Because I know the war ends, but she doesn't at this point, so I'm not really sure what she would want to end up doing. And I also don't really see her, in this movie at least, having any potential, like, partner, like a husband, if she were to get married to someone. There's no one in this film, but hopefully she meets someone and she has kids, and yeah, and she lives next door to Betty and they hang out. Yeah, that would be nice. I think that Bomb Girls resonated so well with such a range of audiences is that the writing is so true, and the acting is honest, and the passion behind the production with all the producers and the directors and the writers and the actors and the crew, it's all so genuine that it really, I think it translates to the type of quality of work that you get when you watch it on television. And I know that another thing is it's just a beautiful era. Like, people started watching it for the 1940s, like clothes and music, but then they start to really get involved in the characters' personal lives that they want to keep watching. And I think that there's something in the show for everybody to enjoy, which is, I think, why we have so many wonderful, dedicated fans. And I mean, I do get people stop me. Like, a couple days ago, I was having sushi, and this older woman was like, "Oh, I just wanted to let you know that I just watch Bomb Girls all the time, and I'm so heartbroken that it was canceled." And I was like, "Oh, you know, we're making a movie." And she's like, "You made my day." Like, she was so excited. And it's amazing to know that it genuinely meant so much to so many people. And to be part of that is something very special that I'm going to treasure for my entire life.
The song I just performed was In the Jewel Box, and it was a song that was written for the movie.
but it's a very 1940s, and it's about a lover who goes away, and the singer is hoping that the lover will remember her when he goes away, and then they'll be reunited in the end. So it's, very suited for the women who waited at home and had to wait for their soldiers to come back. That's the last song that Kate's going to be singing on the Jewel Box stage for a little while. So it was bittersweet because it was really fun to do, but then I knew by the end of it, that was it.
To you every day, I'll send you kisses across the sea. Oh darling, please remember me. Oh darling, please remember me. And all our time together, don't leave me here in misery. I want you back forever, to hold me close and keep me company.
My name is Antonio Cupo, and I play the character of Marco Moretti. First day back on set of Bomb Girls was really an amazing feeling. I didn't know what to expect after season 2. Coming back and seeing the cast and the directors that we work with and the producers and the whole team was really a great feeling. It almost felt for a second like we were going to do another season, which is what I'm hoping for every day. Today we are coming into the factory. It's the beginning of the movie. We'll be seeing Anastasia, who plays the role of Vera, and also Kate Andrews, Charlotte. So we're walking into the factory, having a little discussion about the war, and Marco spots what he thinks is Rita Hayworth, who is our new character, smoking a cigarette in the wrongful location because she could set this whole place on fire. So Anastasia, Vera, goes up to her and takes a cigarette out of her hand and gives her a little warning. My name is Antonio Cupo, and I play the character of Marco Moretti. Marco's storyline in this movie doesn't have a lot of involvement with the other characters, the new characters in the show. He has strong ties to Vera. The love story that's been budding and growing. I think it's going to be nice. It'll be a good little thing for our viewers to sort of see develop over the time, of course, of the movie. Unfortunately, it doesn't blossom any more than this because she ends up passing away in war. Well, today Marco proposes. He doesn't say, "Will you marry me?" but he tells her that he loves her. He gives her a ring before she goes away. It was his grandmother's ring. It's an important moment for both characters. He didn't expect to want to marry a person that would ever go to war. I don't think it was very common for women to even go to war. So it kind of blindsides him. He doesn't know what to expect. This is the story that Marco and Vera have. It's unconventional, and it's been that way ever since the beginning. I think Marco's at a bit of a turning point. Finally, the Italians are able to join the war effort, fighting for Canada. This is important to him because it's everything he's been fighting for. He wants to prove himself. He wants to show how strong he is a Canadian. I think it's a beautiful moment when he shows up with his outfit on, ready to go to war. Gladys once said, "You know, Marco's a war hero waiting to happen," and I thought that'd be a really good place for him to be. People like to follow the relationships in television, and definitely in our show. We just dress it up in 1940s and put it in a factory and whatever else, given the given circumstances. But it's all about relationships at the end. After season 2, there wasn't a place where I could go where people didn't say, "When's it coming back?" You know, it's just such a beautiful show. And honestly, it rips my heart out to talk to these people and to say, I don't really know why it hasn't come back, it hasn't been picked up for another season. It's a shame, but you never know, you know. You got to keep your hopes up, and like I have, I've been waiting for that call, like, hey, we're going for another season, you know.
Interest was a bit weak. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and again. One more. Back to one, going again.
Good morning, how are you? Good.
$600 saved up, my mom doesn't know about. I'll get my father out of internment camp soon. I'm gonna hire a lawyer. Hey, I'm not bad at a dancer?
Sorry, sometimes I wonder if we're doing enough. I know. Don't worry, Marco, I'm just thinking aloud. And you know what?
Let me leave. Let me in. Let me get some fresh drinks. Hey, you listening to me? What, am I that bad a dancer?
Sometimes I wonder if we're doing enough. What would you say if I were to say?
Joking, right?
Or if I'm not?
Vera wasn't given the opportunity to finish her journey, her quest. So I'm gonna finish it for her. I will fight in Vera's name, and we will win this war. To victory!
To victory!
Cut!
My name is Anastasia Phillips, and I play Vera Burr. The first day when I returned to set to film Bomb Girls, the movie was wonderful. It felt like a homecoming. It was such a gift because none of us really expected to be here. You know, in this business, when a show is canceled, you really do just sort of resolve that within yourself as best you can, and you try to move on. So to see all the familiar faces was heartwarming. I had a scene with Marco where I have just left the factory after revealing the scene we're about to shoot, actually revealing the fact that I've enlisted, which I've kept quiet. And I'm saying goodbye. I'll see them, you know, when I come back from overseas. But this is something, you know, this is, I think, an indication of how much these women have grown. They're making independent choices. They don't need to run their hopes and dreams by other people for their opinions. They just go with what, you know, their heart's longing is. And Vera's is to serve in a larger way than she has been. And then as I'm walking to the taxi, I see that he's waiting for me, and he pulls out a ring and he proposes, and I'm of course racked with guilt that I'm leaving at such an important juncture in our relationship, but at the same time so touched that he's giving me the freedom to do what I need to do, and with the promise to wait for me. She has, I think, really come to understand that, you know, where the bomb factory once gave her freedom and spending money and, you know, an exciting milieu in which to come of age, she's now taken on a little bit more responsibility and decided that she wants to actively participate in, you know, a much stronger way. And she's willing to sacrifice herself for that. A lot of what happened during season 2 was also Vera's fear of being hurt, her fear of commitment. And what we see now, I think, during the film is Vera's fear that her commitment to Marco will limit her options and threaten her independence. And so she feels that this is the last thing that she needs to do in order to be ready for a slightly more conventional life. I think people resonated with Bomb Girls as much as they did because, honestly, I believe that it's the energy behind the stories. I think that this show is unique. It had a unique vision. It was driven into creation by people who really believed in the stories and the characters, and I think we always just felt that we had leaders, we were following a vision, we weren't recreating anything. I think that the chemistry amongst the characters is palpable. We enjoy it off screen, so I think it's alive on screen. And it just had its heart in the right place.
Yeah. They're not like right out, right? And I think what would happen is, if you guys come in, right, and you see them stop for that moment, you might watch, but I think...
Congratulations.
I love you gals, I really, really do. Oh, has anyone seen Marco?
You don't lie so well, Gladys. You do realize that, don't you?
You know where Betty is?
She called me the day she got out to make sure Kate was at the factory.
My name is Michael Cedar, and I play Ivan Baczynski. It is my first day back at Bomb Girls. It's very exciting because, I don't know, it all kind of feels like the movie. In the movie, it seems a lot of the main characters have left the factory and through the course of the movie are coming back, which is exactly what I do today. I get back to the factory, but I also get back to the factory. Me being me, and me being me, Ivan. Where we left off, Ivan and Kate were very ecstatic to be engaged and prepping for their wedding. And then through a series of unfortunate for Kate events, the truth came out about her past and that she had been lying to Ivan about who she was and who her family is. And that's where we left it, on kind of the relationship hanging by a thread, or not even hanging because he said it's over. I thought we were going to come back and they would be back together, that they would have sorted it out. I'm very surprised. I assumed there was a wedding for sure, that Kate and Ivan would get married, but it ain't all sunny in the Bomb Girls movie, I'll tell you that much. Ivan does a lot of stewing. He's not so happy with Kate and Betty and being where they left him. So he took some time off, and I think he did a lot of drinking and a lot of soul searching, and he met this waitress at a diner he was hanging out at. And they very quickly got hitched, because when you know, you know. Or so Ivan thinks. He's now dealing with having to face Kate for the first time he's seeing her, and same with Betty. And yes, there's a lot of stuff to face and deal with, and then eventually I die. It turns out that my lovely wife Helen, who has a very similar suspicious backstory to Kate, is also lying to me, and it turns out she's the saboteur we've been searching for the whole time. And so I believe they call it a firefly, this pen that is a small bomb. And the pen rolls off the desk as I'm kind of having this like moment with Kate where we're dealing with our issues and resolving our feelings. And I see it's my wife's pen, and I go to pick it up, and poof, cut to everyone's injured in the hospital, and people are unconscious and bloodied, and then come flying down a gurney is Ivan convulsing, bloody, and he takes his last breath. Haven't shot that yet, but I'm very excited. I have yet to have a big death on camera, so I'm excited about that. My hope for my character is that they keep doing these movies, that they integrate a haunting, yeah. Well, Kate has had lots of like dream sequency things where she's, you know, imagined her father. So now it'll be Ivan, yeah. It is Canadian heritage that a lot of people didn't know about, but it's not mousse and maple syrup. It's really cool and interesting and new, even though it's old. So I think those are all sort of combinations that have people tuning in, and you've got this cast of girls who are incredibly charming. Not only are they talented and heartbreaking, but there is a charm to them that makes you fall in love with all these girls and want to root for them.
You know what a tingle dangle. It's like a likeness.
Right, that's it. You can over and do that. That'd be great. Okay. That'd be great. Okay.
They can even mention something.
Nice.
Please, would you motivate to move? So the idea would be,
Okay, quietly, guys. Quietly, guys. Thank you.
Right, people are looking at you. Right, so you're tall, proud, and along with Helen.
My name is Catherine Berube, and the name of my character is Helen Buczynski. What I know about Helen Buczynski, I feel like as I go along, I'm getting to know her a little more, embodying everything, putting on the hair, the face, the clothes. She is a pro-Nazi sympathizer. She is working at the factory as a spy, if you want, on the Nazi side. I don't think people like her so much. She has a bit of an attitude problem, a hard time fitting in. But she has a heart somewhere in there. Helen met Ivan Buczynski. She was a waitress at a restaurant, and they started chatting. And then I believe soon enough they started dating, and she pushed to get married. And she pushed because she wanted to be hired at the factory. I guess that was her whole cover. She needed Ivan to be able to fit in the factory and start, you know, getting her whole scheme working. Okay. I find it's always nice to play a bit of an evil character because there's so many different layers. There's where she's coming from, why she's doing this, and it's often fairly different from my everyday life, so I find the challenge very appealing.
Perfect. Excellent.
Speaking with Jerry really does help because then you get a sense of where he wants to take the story, where the story needs to go, and how I can help in bringing the story there. And so that's why I'm saying it's interesting because I feel like I know what I brought of Helen, but I know that throughout the shooting I'm going to get to know her so much more, building with everything and everybody around. I have never played in a period drama before, in theater, but not on TV, and I've been wanting to for so long. And working with these people here, they are so talented. And I mean, I was so excited this morning when I saw my head. I was like, oh my God, this looks amazing. And I have really thick, long hair down to here, and I can't believe they managed to put it all up in this little tiny kind of bob. And it's sincerely putting on these clothes. I was just talking to Jerry about this earlier. Putting on these clothes and the hair, the nails, the face, everything does 3/4 of the job for a character. It is wonderful. You can build as much as you want in your head. As soon as you step in the shoes, the clothes, the body, something happens, and all of a sudden the character just happens, and it's wonderful. It's magic. I love it.
I don't know.
Kidding, I'm kidding.
What? The card? Good. Yeah, that was a big character. Just guys.
Yeah.
I've been sitting there so long I had to adjust. That's what it means, right?
All right.
No, one camera only.
Yeah, just give me that with focus on Jody.
Okay.
Actually, hang on. boom, there we go. We land on that.
Sure.
Okay, great. So that's the shot. Thanks.
One camera.
How can you betray your country?
I believe in Hitler and what he stands for.
You don't even know what he stands for.
My name's Anthony Lemke. I play Philip Davis. Well, Philip Davis is the second in command at the farm, which is modeled on Camp X, a training but also research facility that actually existed somewhere outside of Picton. And he's second in command of that. But he has an alter ego, and his alter ego is he is a fifth columnist. He is high up in the pro-fascist forces in North America. Well, with this character, I don't see him as a bad guy. I see him as someone who holds very different political views. I mean, in the early 20th century, fascism wasn't necessarily a bad word, especially before the Second World War. And it was to a lot of people, but it also wasn't to a lot of people, in the sense that there were individuals who believed very strongly in fascism as a model for society, not because they're evil and they wanted to suppress individuals, but because that was sort of going on at the time. It was an ethos, communism versus capitalism versus fascism, and versus the sort of post-royalism, and everybody had an opinion, and so he's part of an ideology at war, is what he is. He's not necessarily a bad guy. What's interesting about the fifth columnist is it became this sort of phobia that there were fifth columnists everywhere during the Second World War in around 42, 43. And yet, there's not a lot of evidence of that actually being the case, but it became really, really present in the media and just in everyday conversation as well. So there was a real fear that individuals like Philip Davis and Helen were part of this massive underground swell of pro-fascists in North America. So I guess that's where the whole story comes from. We are sabotaging these devices called the ASDIC devices, which are basically sonar devices that allow the Allied convoys to get across North America. And this is the scene where one of my co-conspirators and I discuss that, wow, we're in trouble. We've really messed up. They're on to us. We need to change our tack. And it's also the scene where my character is revealed as being behind everything. Well, Philip Davis is well positioned in the Canadian military, in the sense that because he's second in command at the farm, he can literally commission all these wonderful James Bond-esque kind of devices, and does commission one. And that one's called the Firefly. It is a mechanical pencil that actually is an explosive device that will kill the individual using it. And so I ask Helen to ensure that Gladys Witham ends up with this pencil in her hand. Well, I really, when I got the audition for the part, I didn't know he was the baddie, first off. They sort of hinted, and you can kind of tell. So I like this sort of complexity in the character. I think that's fun and challenging to play, a character who on the surface seems to be one thing but isn't. And so everything you're delivering has this sense of duplicitousness to it, but yet the audience can't sense it, and that's the fun part. So the reveal has to come as a real reveal. So challenging as an actor, that's the first thing. The second thing, it sort of harkens back a bit to what I talked about with just the notion of Bomb Girls as this strong female-centric show. And I think it's important to have those kinds of shows in the air, and I'm super proud to be part of that particular aspect of the show as well. And then, of course, it's period. I mean, you get to dress in all these cool outfits that you don't normally get to dress in, and that there's part of being an actor that's a lot of fun when you do those period pieces and you get totally dolled up in some other era. That's a lot of fun just from the pure kid in me angle of it.
And Action. Go.
She's on to you.
How did you get in here?
Don't ask stupid questions. It's no longer sufficient just to mislead and distract Miss Witham. We are way beyond that now. Just as we were with Mr. Perry. He was onto us as well.
So what do we do?
We're gonna get their eyes off the factory. Our boys in Kingston will derail that train coming in from Halifax carrying the 4 unused ASTIC devices.
Good. What about Gladys Witham?
This is a new device from our R&D lab at the farm. It's called a Firefly. Looks like a mechanical pencil. Turn it to the right, the lead emerges. You turn it to the left, the lead still emerges, but it detonates. No, you turn it to the left, the lead still emerges, but it ignites a 2-minute fuse that detonates the explosive device inside it. Strong enough to kill anybody who's holding it.
And innocent bystanders?
Unavoidable. You just make sure that Gladys Witham is holding this pencil. It is no longer sufficient just to mislead and distract Miss Witham. We are way beyond that now. As we were with Mr. Perry. He was onto us too.
So what do we do?
We're gonna get their eyes off the factory. Our boys in Kingston are gonna derail that train coming in from Halifax on Sunday night, the one carrying the 4 ASTIC devices.
Good. What about Gladys Witham? What about Gladys Witham?
This is a new device from our R&D lab at the farm. It's called a Firefly. It looks like a mechanical pencil. Turn it to the right, the lead emerges. You turn it to the left, the lead still emerges, but it ignites a 2-minute fuse that detonates an explosive inside the pen, powerful enough to kill whoever's holding it.
I'm Richard Fitzpatrick, and I play Harold Akins, who's the manager. But it's just one of those great opening scenes where you see everybody, and I'm sure it's going to look sort of like the March to Victory, you know, a very positive kind of optimistic opening, but the drama unfolds from there. Oh well, he's had to grow. He's had to change. He's confronted a situation that very few men, well, no men of his generation had to confront before him. You know, all of a sudden he's thrust into this workplace where there are women, and he's in charge of them, and so he's got to walk a very delicate line. Yeah, from Harold's point of view, Lorna's changed dramatically. She's become much stronger, much more independent, thinking, and has taken much greater initiative in the workplace. And she's blossomed, and he sees it. He recognizes that. It scares him a little. He finds it to be a little frightening because she challenges him. As a man of that generation, he's not used to that, but he still has the lights going on. It's the beginning of a change of a generation. I've watched them all grow, like Lorna. But probably none has changed quite as. She's made dramatic strides, Vera, and Harold will miss Vera. He'll terribly, as he would miss all of them, I think, at this point, because they become a family. It tells us the story, which is a true and very moving, and little known in this country, and that's the thing. It's a discovery for a lot of people, and a reminder on this day of days, Remembrance Day, that there were all these women on the home front that played this crucial role in the war. I've enjoyed my role in Bomb Girls tremendously, and I continue to. And as Harold may have minded being surrounded. He may have had problems with being surrounded by all these women, but I don't. You know, I mean, it's a great gig, and it's a great character, and yeah, I hope that there's further incarnations.
Yeah, well, we gotta get the drinking in the boots now.
Mr. Aiken. You had before you wanted. I couldn't without giving it to you.
You guys should be coming in now.
Taxi's waiting. I gotta run. I don't want to be fussed. Mr. Aiken. You had before you wanted. I didn't want to leave without giving it to you. My taxi's waiting. I gotta run. Didn't want to fuss. Could you tell the girls for me?
My name is Jamie Ellman. I'm playing Jakob Berman. He is a Polish-Jewish immigrant who had studied at Cambridge, where he worked in engineering, and so we pick up with him working for the Allied Intelligence in Canada, where he meets Gladys, and where he's designed what they call the ASDEC devices, the Anti-Submarine Detection Investigation Committee, which designs these things, which are basically pre-sonar to bomb Nazi U-boats, which is crucial, he believes, to helping win the war, and it was. And yes, I believe it is absolutely based on historical fact. Now, then things sort of take a turn in this movie where somebody's messing with the equipment, sabotage. You know, the initial premise is that I'm here to oversee the TNT department, but really we know that I work for the Allied Intelligence and I'm designing this ASDEC devices for sonar. But I'm also doing something which nobody else knows about, which is using the factory as a base to hold basically clandestine meetings with activists whose goal it is to draw attention to the suffering of European Jews. I think the character of Jakob is sort of generally perceived as suspicious in general because he's Jewish and he's the other. And Gladys does not buy into that per se. What she sees is what appears to be suspicious behavior. And so I start to look like a suspect. And once she finds out that what I'm doing is not actually self-sabotage on these devices, and that I'm actually working for a really important cause and something that she can understand and empathize with, because she's a very empathetic woman, we really sort of bond. You know, with every passing hour, some other device is getting sabotaged, and another Nazi U-boat is about to hit one of our ships, and so that sort of mounting tension sort of coincides with the building of the romantic relationship. Aside from the fact that it's great writing and a classy show and great actors, this particular part jumped out for sure right away. I wanted to be the guy to do it.
Can I boom down on B, please? Yeah.
Now, Mark.
Go. Mark.
Set.
Frame.
And action! Beautiful.
Sure. Andrew.
Yes, if we can have that, that would be great.
Andrew, need a candle lit.
I can do that. He's doing the tighter shot, right?
I am.
When they go.
Do you know where Betty is? I wrote her a couple times while she was in prison. She never responded. I went to visit her once and she refused to see me. You know Betty. She's got her pride. Do you know where Betty is? I wrote her a couple times while she was in prison and she never responded. I even went to visit her once and she refused to see me. You know Betty. She's got her pride.
This friend of yours just left the town. Struck her.
Pushing you two guys
Right.
too far out there.
Right. Okay.
But basically it worked well.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, good morning.
It must be the smoking section's out.
Don't mind Vera. Her bark's worse than a bite. Hi, my name is
She must be new. The smoking section's out.
Not so new, actually. Been working the graveyard shift for the past month. It's nice to be out in the sun finally and to meet such friendly people.
Don't mind Vera. Her bark's worse than a bite. Hi, my name is
Kate Andrews. You know, you look so much better in your photos. Oh, I know all about you. And you should know that my husband starts back on the Amateur line today.
Why should she give up being your husband?
Because he used to be her fiance.
Ivan.
We're gonna move up, right? And we're gonna like look left and right a little bit, and people are looking not right in the lens, but just off the lens, right? And these guys are whispering, and there might even be like two women right in front, walking ahead. And if you're the camera, they might like look back, and right. So that's the I need that shot. That's the environment, right?
We'll fight in Vera's name. We are going to win this war. To victory.
To big
Victory.
Toast. And then one by one, we all start singing.
Vera, for Ivan.
So here's the idea. I'm actually staging it at this end, not down there, because down there I felt was a little inappropriate. It feels too much like it's a stage show and everything, and also the lighting is inappropriate as well. Here. I want to stage it down here, because we're always in this bar during the day, at night, but during the day, when we're here, it's moody, with all those lovely side windows throwing daylight through, it becomes more church-like, which I think is going to have a much nicer feeling. So what I'm going to do is, with some of the curtains closed over here, we're going to have the a podium with her picture or something here facing out. So whoever comes up and talks, like you two, will be here facing out. So everyone's kind of like gathered in this direction, facing here. And the idea is to shoot it basically this way and that way, and a pop on the door for, oh, this is going to be great, Antonio. The door opens up, daylight blasting behind you. You come in, use a soldier now. You got an entrance, man. You got a great entrance. That's going to be really nice. The Jesus effect, I know.
You want to
Yeah.
We've got it.
What is the next part, Joe?
I know.
I think it goes down.
Last, you said.
Yes.
I think it was. That one is. Wait.
Yes, we got you.
Let's try again.
A kiss won't mean goodbye, but hello to love. When the lights go on again, all over the world.
Vera wasn't given the chance to finish her journey, her quest. So I'm going to finish it for her. I will fight in Vera's name. And we will win this war to victory!
To victory!
And that's what I'm going to cut. Because we'll do the song separately, but from the same camera position. Totally. Excellent!
All right, here we go. This side. See you, Jerry. Don't worry. This.
And action!
I will fight in Vera's name, and we will win this war to victory!
To victory!
And 3, 2, 1, go!
When the lights go on again, all over the world, and the boys are home again, all
you. Off mark. Yeah.
Set. We're all thinking about Vera, so we're here. And action.